Good afternoon to all our lovely listeners and welcome back to our newest podcast, TWW Talks. As part of our Tomorrow's Women digital series, providing free online activities, tutorials, hints and tips during our centre closure. To those that have tuned in before, welcome back. And to those that are new here, a big TWW welcome from all of us. So I'm joined today for the fourth episode in our podcast series by Robyn from Blackburne House. But I'll let Robyn tell you a little bit more about her and Blackburne House. Robyn, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about the charity.
Hi, I'm Robyn. I'm the events and marketing lead for Blackburne House. Blackburne House is a women's organisation based in Liverpool city centre, and we are a social enterprise that supports women through education, mainly accredited courses, but we also have a nursery on site which we can offer free childcare for women, just to break down those barriers really into education. And we also have a bistro, a conference suite, and also a wellness service which offers free counselling and mindfulness to anyone in to any woman in Merseyside, to ensure that well-being is at the heart of what we do.
Absolutely, yeah, brilliant. So like ourselves at Tomorrow's Women, we know Blackburne House has continued to work throughout COVID, albeit in a different way. As COVID has sent huge waves through the community, I know the third sector have really showed up in that respect. So Robyn, tell us a bit more about Blackburne House then and how COVID really has impacted your working with women.
Yeah, so like yourselves, we've had to adapt and change and really digitalise our offer, which normally we're such a people-based service. So we just had to change that really and think of ways that we can support. And it wasn't just about changing, it was also about having additional services where the need was. So first of all, we adapted. Obviously, we all had to work from home. So we adapted by taking our courses online to ensure that the education offer could still continue, to make sure that women across Merseyside could still get their education and still thrive during this time. But probably the main service that we've adapted, and it's a new service that I feel quite proud of, to be honest, is our wellness service, which has been, we started it off really by getting bids from Steve Morgan and the National Lottery and Police Commission. So we've been really fortunate to get those bids in to support that service, which is free counselling and mindfulness for any woman across Merseyside who just needs that extra support, because has been such a challenging time for so many people. And we've seen the spike in domestic violence and other issues have come to play, and it was just really important that we felt that service was needed. And obviously our funders also saw that it was a need as well. So so far we've counselled over 250 women, and nearly 1,000 women have gone through mindfulness, and that number just keeps growing and the service just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So it's really exciting to know that women are getting the support and help they need, because often, it can be up to 13 weeks wait time minimum for people to get counselling support, and our wait time is 6 weeks, so it's really half of what people are having to wait. So yeah, I think that's the main service. And we've also been doing beekeeping as well online, so that's been really lovely, and getting our eco message across, which has been really great. But yeah, we've just tried to adapt and change like yourselves. I mean, the work that you've been doing with your online tutorials, really engaging your audience, that's been amazing to watch as well. So yeah, it's been really inspiring seeing how everyone's changed and adapted.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it is the right word is inspiring. There's been so much amazing content out there and so much amazing support. I know for us, it's the female community we're looking at. And I think you're right. I think it is exciting. It's exciting for us as organisations to have this new lease of life and a new way of working. But ultimately, and like you've just touched on there, the most important thing is getting that support on offer, especially through a time like this, through a pandemic where we know emotional well-being and mental health are so detrimentally impacted. And we know the effect of that when we come out of this lockdown, which hopefully it's going to be the 21st of June, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We know the impact is going to be far reaching beyond that point. And so our organisations are so important to be there as that crux, as that support service. And I know some of the work that you've been doing is absolutely fantastic. I've been following it very closely on our socials as well. So you just touched there on the beekeeping. So if you could just tell our listeners, a little bit more about the bee project, because I think this sounds so exciting and interesting.
Yeah, so our bee project, I mean, it's amazing, really. I think it's been going, I don't want to be, I might get it wrong, but I think it's been going now for over 5 years. So basically, what we do is we support young people primarily across Merseyside to have beekeeping sessions. So we have hives in so many different locations across Liverpool, and that enables young people to get in touch with the environment and understand the importance that bees have, because bees are just so important for, not just like our well-being, but also for life itself, because they're just deep rooted in in nature's natural journey into how it can recover us, and also how, like in terms of crops and stuff like that, bees are just so important in that evolution of the food chain, and that really affects us as humans. And like, we really need to start looking after bees. And obviously, I don't know if you've seen it in the news recently, but the bee killing pesticides that are being put in place by government at the moment is something that we're tackling. But yeah, and we're also, through our hives, we also have honey, candles, and all different things, which is our social enterprise, and all the money from those products goes back into supporting the project to continue to grow and continue to support young people. And it's just been amazing, because the impact that it can have on different people is just incredible, especially those with additional needs. We've really seen how it's helped them to communicate and understand and connect with others, and it's just really beautiful, and it's such a lovely project. And it's also, we've started delivering that online, which is something, how could you do beekeeping online, but somehow the teams managed to do it.
I was just going to ask that question, actually. So how have you made that an online offer then? Has it been easy enough to sort of turn that around into a digital project, or?
Yeah, so basically the team has been doing beekeeping teaching online, and then because they're classed as key workers, because it's to do with livestock, they've then been like filming themselves while they're at sites, and showcasing how they take care of the hives. And people have got accredited courses through doing it online, and it's just been great as well, because people not just from Liverpool have done some of the training, like people across the UK have done it. So that's cool as well. So yeah, I just think it's been really great. Our beekeepers are amazing, and they've really been working hard during this time to ensure that the sites have been looked after, and that our bees have been safe and been kept well. Yeah.
Even just talking about it's making me smile, because it sounds like a really lovely project. And I think not only is it seems to be very much about community cohesion and bringing people together, but what an amazing opportunity for young people, because you'd never ever dream of thinking about something like that, really, but like I said, it sounds like such a lovely project, and I'm so glad that you've been able to use technology really to your advantage in that way, to turn it round into an online educational tool as well. That sounds fantastic. And I know that we're going to be touching a little bit later on contact points and things for yourselves if people want to get involved. So that's great. So moving on then to International Women's Day, Robyn, which is what we're here to talk about really. So International Women's Day is obviously fast approaching. It's on the 8th of March every year. For those that don't know, though, I really do hope our listeners do know. International Women's Day is an annual awareness day to celebrate women's achievements worldwide, boost women and girls up essentially for the amazing things they do and are, but also, and for me, probably the most important thing is to recognise and address the challenges and barriers that women still face even now. Often things we all experience in some way, in some capacity across, all socioeconomic backgrounds, cultures, countries and ages. For me, International Women's Day is not just rhetoric, it's not just talk, it's all actually about taking action. And each of us genuinely has such an important role to play in making this an equal world for all. I know at Tomorrow's Women, we host an event each year, our biggest annual event in fact for International Women's Day. So, Robyn, at Blackburn House, do you celebrate International Women's Day, and what does the National Awareness Day mean to you?
Yeah, so obviously, as a women's organisation like yourselves, International Women's Day is the event of the calendar. So this year we're not really doing an event, to be honest. We're doing a campaign because the theme has been Choose to Challenge. So we really looked at that and we thought, obviously there's so many things that we could challenge, but we thought, what is something that we can challenge and actually make a positive impact and a change? So we've chosen to challenge and do a campaign around raising awareness, understanding and coping strategies around toxic positivity, because we think it's a real issue at the moment, and we're seeing big trends in, especially with some of the women that are coming to us, we're seeing trends within that area, and often people don't really understand what it is or are a bit shocked by the word. That we found that during our idea process for this campaign, and that's what we're doing this International Women's Day. Is we're doing we're talking about toxic positivity, trying to make a difference, trying to make an impact, and really trying to challenge mindsets and understanding, and trying to showcase the difference between, it's good to be positive, but when people are going through a difficult time like we all are at the moment, it is okay to sit with your feelings, and it is okay to be validated for that. So that's what we've chosen to do this year, which is very different because normally we choose to celebrate, which obviously is really important as well, but this year we have gone for the challenge approach more so.
Yeah, and I think campaigns are particularly relevant in the digital age. Like you said, you can run a campaign virtually then, and it sort of reaches a wider audience as well. So that's great. But for those listeners maybe that aren't familiar with the term toxic positivity, I know you've just touched on it a little bit there, but could you just explain to us a bit more about what you mean, or some examples of that? Because I know it is very, very relevant to sort of the pandemic, really.
Yeah, so basically toxic positivity is where when someone is going through something difficult, it might not just be the pandemic, but when someone is feeling, particularly low or not feeling great, rather than, people often is like, everything happens for a reason, it'll all be okay, which it will be, and everything will be okay in the end. But sometimes sometimes it's about validating someone's feelings rather than trying to make a positive out of a negative situation. Is a good thing, but it also isn't validating that person's feelings. So what we're trying to showcase is what toxic positivity is, and it is good to be positive, and we do really feel that is the way forward. But it's also important that people understand that when they do feel bad, that's okay. It's okay not to be okay, and to ask for help, and to just sit with those feelings for a while, because as people we go through so many different emotions, humans, it's natural that we go through so many different emotions daily, and these emotions can come and go, but the way it was explained to us when we were speaking to our wellbeing team, it's like Frozen, everything was bottled up, and she just needed to let it go, because sometimes when you're bottling it up because of this, it's you have to be happy all the time, and you have to show this face to the world, especially on social media. I think it's a massive issue, especially with young people. It can just become this real big shift in a person. So it's about trying to validate those feelings and trying to highlight how everybody does it from time to time, and it's about recognizing that in ourselves and trying to move forward and trying to change our mindset around it, because obviously media and everything, it plays into it. So yeah, that's what we're really trying to challenge, if I've made any sense there, because I feel like I'm just
no. I totally understand, and I think that's definitely like sort of clarity as well for our listeners, and for a lot of them will probably have experienced this at some time during this pandemic. And even on the back of that, I know there's been a lot of pressure sort of in the second and third lockdown for people to be productive all the time. I know at first, during the first lockdown, it was a lot about making a routine and exercise, doing exercise videos, tutorials, and there was loads and loads of education online, as I'm sure you know. But at the same time, you have to allow yourself time to feel and think
and
Absolutely.
breathe.
And I think there was so much pressure going into the second and third lockdown for people to continue in that way, and unfortunately the motivation there is just not there all of the time. It's very difficult to keep yourself at that level all the time, especially during a pandemic like this. And I think it's great for people to know that everybody's feeling this way.
Exactly.
It's not just you that's feeling that way, or you that's having those struggles. Everyone at some point will be feeling like this, even in respect of toxic positivity. For people working at home, it's very difficult to put on that facade all the time that you're okay and that you're doing well when you can't go anywhere or you're isolating. So it is, there's a lot of good to talking about that, really. And like you said, allowing people to know it's okay to feel bad or to be struggling, or just to know that you're having a bad day, like that's all right. And it's positivity to an extent, isn't it? That's not detrimental.
Exactly.
No, I totally understand that. I think that sounds like a great campaign.
And it's also like, I think social media at times has a lot to answer for in that respect. And sometimes, like, there's so much power in vulnerability. And I think if we all, if we all presented ourselves sometimes in a more vulnerable way, I do feel that it would help us connect a bit more better. And I think we can't all be the strength, especially like us women. Like, there's a lot on our shoulders anyway, isn't there? And I just think sometimes we just need to reach out to each other and like hold each other up, and we can't do that if we don't know.
Absolutely. That sounds like a great campaign. And obviously for our listeners that engage with our social media, I will share all of the information that you post on your socials as well, so you'll be able to find that. So I know you've just touched there on the theme of this year is Choose to Challenge, and like I said, for those that maybe don't know, International Women's Day carries a theme each year, which is sort of a call to action, isn't it? I know in the past it's been each for equal, better for balance, those sort of things, balance for better, sorry. So for you then, is that what Choose to Challenge means? Is about actually campaigning? Is it about being practical, taking action? What does it mean to you to choose to challenge?
For me, it Choose to Challenge, I think this year, like I've said in the past, most of the times we've done a celebration, and for me this year, Choose to Challenge was, I felt like we could have a way where we could really support people and really create an understanding around a subject that sometimes doesn't really want to be talked about. And I think it's about like trying to make a bit of a change, and we might not be able to do it on a massive scale, but even if someone looks at one of our posts and they're like, oh yeah, like that's happened to me, and like maybe I've done that to people and not realized it. Just if that's what we get from it, I would be so happy. I just think it's about trying to support people and trying to make a bit of a change, whether that's a massive change or a tiny little small change. Really, that's what it's about. International Women's Day is trying to support and understand, because I do think it affects men as well, this, but I do think women are massively affected by it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely totally agree with you. It is about any change is change at the end of the day. Like you said, no matter how big or small, you're making a difference, and that's what it's all about. So that's the most important thing. So that's obviously excellent, like I said, and I will very much engage with that campaign. Sounds absolutely superb. And I know that Blackburn House are going to be making a feature in our own International Women's Day virtual event as well.
I can't wait to see your event. It's going to be amazing.
So that'll be exciting, but obviously I'll touch on that a little bit later. But before we wrap up, most importantly for our listeners and for anybody tuning in, if any woman does want to get in touch or want to get involved in any way or get any information from yourselves, Robyn, how can they contact Blackburn House best?
So probably the best way to see what we're doing and what's going on is probably through our social media channels. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and it's just at Blackburn House, and then Burn has got an E on the end. And then you could also look at our website, which is www.blackburnhouse.co.uk. And if you want to get in touch and find out more about things that we do and how you can get involved, the best person to contact would be reception@blackburnhouse.co.uk. And our team, it will be directed to whichever team is best for you to speak to. Yeah, and just get in touch, or just like give us a DM, and just if you want to chat or whatever. And like if you want to hear about something that we could do, or if you want to collaborate, like we're here. If we can help in any way, just give us a shout.
Excellent, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today over Zoom for our little virtual talk for the TWW Talks podcast. Obviously, I'll leave all of the contact points in the description box as well. And I very much look forward to seeing your toxic positivity campaign. And just from us to you, really, a very early happy International Women's Day to Blackburn House. Thanks very much, Robyn.
Oh no, thank you. And I think it's great that as two women's organisations we can come together and support one another, and show that sisterhood and be an example to other women.
Well, that was a very enjoyable podcast chat there with Robyn from Blackburn House. So thanks again, Robyn. We celebrated International Women's Day with Tomorrow's Women Wirral on the 8th of March, 12 p.m, with a virtual event that we premiered live on our YouTube page at Tomorrow's Women Wirral. The guest speakers Pauline Daniels and Motherwell's Kate Blakemore, as well as service spotlights, good news stories and performances. It was an amazing event. You can watch it anytime on our YouTube channel and subscribe for more of our digital series content as well. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back with TWW Talks very soon.